In today's video, we are going to talk a little bit about making mistakes in business. I would have shared with you guys in the last video that I have a business called A Million Concepts. Some of the mistakes that I would have made in my very early years, I'm still in early years of business, but my very early years of starting and running a business. I have learned a lot of valuable lessons just dealing with the full works of having this business. One of the best ways you can learn is from your mistakes and from other people's mistakes and experiences. So I want to share with you some key things that I have experienced over the years that has caused me and forced me to learn and grow and become better in business. Now, let me just put a disclaimer out there. I am in no way the perfect businesswoman. It's a learning curve. It's an ongoing learning process. And I encourage you every step along the way, if you are not sure about something, ask a question. If you want to know something, go to courses, go to workshops, get information, reach out to mentors, get involved in internships. Do things that are going to expand your knowledge in the area or field that you are interested in. So one of my first lessons in business came right at the start of the whole thing, which would have been deciding what type of business to register. I had a really good business idea. I was working alongside a lot of creatives, but my strength was on the administrative side of things. And I wanted to set up something because I realized that there was a niche and a space that existed for me to fill to help creatives put things in order, get some structure in place, manage their business affairs. And so I decided to create a business based on my name, Patrice Million. It took me a while, of course, to brainstorm some ideas, but eventually I settled on A Million Concepts because I wanted to kind of capture that creative element of the business and the fact that I'm working with and incorporating a lot of creative components in my business. So A Million Concepts was the name that I decided on. And the one thing I will say I got right was understanding the need to go registered right away. If you talk to any business person, you would know or you would hear stories of some of them saying, I had a little hustle, I started a business, I was making a little extra money, and I had this name and this idea and this brand to go with it. And by the time I went to register it at the company's registry, my business name was gone. Somebody had already registered it. So I encourage you as early as possible, go register your business name if you are interested in starting a business and you already have the creative idea as to how you want to frame it and title it, because you could lose the opportunity to have that name as your signature name. But what I did get right was signing up the business. What I got wrong was not understanding the different structures of businesses that existed in Trinidad and Tobago that I could have registered. So I started off as a sole trader. I think that was also primarily because that's all I knew. I heard a lot of people talking about start your business. Sole trader was the main thing that was kind of trending around starting a business. The people that I knew who were in business were sole traders. So I just, jumped headfirst into signing up a sole trader business. And along the way, because of the nature of my business, that it's creative content production, I tend to do a lot of idea generation and projects that are media content based or digital content based. So I had, along the way in asking questions and talking to other business persons, understood that there was another option that exists in business structure called a limited liability that would have allowed me the opportunity to separate the business from myself. A limited liability is a separate legal entity, which means everything related to business that I start and do under that premise is solely attached and affiliated to that company. I myself, Patrice Million, as a person, would be separated from that, so that if there was any issues with legal or finance or anything related to the business, it would be specific only to A Million Concepts. I was a sole trader and I was able to switch to a limited liability, considering that the system is set up that way for me to transition. But if you started as a limited liability, you can't switch into being a sole trader. So again, just understand the nature of your business, what you're trying to accomplish, as well as understand the system that you're going into when it comes to business. Mistake number 2, which I think is a rookie mistake that anybody starting in business would make, especially if you don't have a financial background or an accounting background to know how to deal with the income and the expenses. I wasn't doing proper bookkeeping. I wasn't, liaising with an accountant to make sense of the information. I didn't have a financial structure in place to manage my finances. The record keeping part of it was not ideal at all, and I wish I knew back then to do things like keep my bills and my receipts and to issue invoices with proper numbering. so that I would not have to deal with the headache later down the line, which I'm guaranteeing you comes when it comes to keeping your finances and your taxes up to date. At some point, if you need to get a business loan, for example, and you want to go to the bank to do that, they ask you for things like financials. It's going to cost you way more money to get it done after the fact than if you had a system in place prior of keeping your records intact. The other unfortunate error that I would have made in the beginning stages of having my business, and again, it's all based on the nature of my business, which would have been content creation. There was this idea that I had, this project that I launched, and it was something that we had just done for fun. I felt a little insecure about the idea of pushing a contract in their face and saying, you know, if you want to be a part of this, sign this. I didn't want to turn people off. I didn't want to scare people away. But then I learned a very hard lesson a few years later, which was if I didn't have somebody's signature that would have indicated in writing that they gave permission to be a part of this, then they would have been at liberty to request that I take down the material, having had no written correspondence that indicated back then that they had given permission for them to be a part of the project. So there was that, and quite a few other instances that I can remember off the top of my head of not having had written agreements in place that would have solidified the things that I spoke about with someone who was involved in a project, and that would have led to a lot of unnecessary, annoying correspondences later down the line to have to, you know, defend your position and learn the harsh reality that there is nothing that you can prove or say is the truth unless it's written in black and white. It's your word against somebody's word, and that becomes a whole battle of the he said, she said, that you can really avoid, honestly, if you just put your ducks in a row from the beginning. As uncomfortable and awkward as it may feel in the moment, protect yourself, protect the people that you're working with, because that will be your saving grace in the future should anybody ever change their mind and, you know, come to you to revisit the conversation. At least you have the bargaining power to say, look, I have this in writing, this is what we agreed to. Another mistake you should try to avoid, based on my experiences, is not following your gut. And this applies in so many different scenarios, but especially when it comes to things that you want to pursue. If you have a very strong feeling about it, or if it's something that really inspires you or invokes a high degree of passion in you, I encourage you to just go for it. Just do it. Don't question yourself about it. Don't sit down for hours on end and days and weeks and months, as I would have done in many occasions, trying to find the perfect way to execute it. It just needs to happen. And so I want to encourage you guys, if you have this idea or this project that you want to launch or that you want to do, just do it. Just stop procrastinating, stop questioning yourself, stop wondering if it's time or when you should or if you should. Just do it. You wouldn't regret it, and even if it doesn't come out the way that you ideally had it in your mind, you now have a template to work with that you can adjust or revise to get it to the point where you think it can be. So that is another mistake that I would have made. For all you know, there would have been way more ideas and way more inspiring initiatives that would have been on the forefront at this stage if I had followed my gut. Also, when it comes to involving people in your team or working with other people, follow your gut. Your gut never lies to you. I've had so many occasions where opportunities were presented to me to collaborate or work with people, and I had second thoughts about it. I was like, I don't know if I want to do it, if I should do it. And, you know, I kind of talked myself out of it, thinking it was just, you know, maybe just fright or fear or anxiety, and, you know, get into it, and so said, so done. At some point along the line, you see a lot of little red flags. So definitely try as best as you could to listen to yourself, to take the time to think through situations and opportunities before you jump headfirst into it. Decide if it's something that you really are aligned with or that is aligned with you, and then go headfirst into it. Now, another lesson that I would have learned, I think a lot of us tend to learn by force, is having very upfront conversations about pricing. The nature, again, of what I do, it's very flexible, but there is a need to have a conversation. I don't think it's ideal to walk into a situation, and again, I'm speaking from experiences, where you like something so much and so you just go for it. You've already misconstrued what your intention is coming into it. You've misconstrued the expectations that should have been set on the business side of things, and you don't want to have that awkward conversation after the fact with the person who did bring you on board to now say, okay, I've done XYZ, but let's talk payments. Be very clear upfront. If somebody asks you to be a part of something or to collaborate with something, don't be afraid to be upfront and ask very directly, well, let's discuss the business of it. Is it that you have a budget? I have rates, but let's discuss the scope of what you need from me. And then, you send them an email with some of your rates or your pricing that you think would best align or suit the project or what is being asked of you. But don't be afraid to open that can of worms and have that conversation up front. You really don't want to end up in an awkward talk after. It gets very messy very quickly. And my final lesson so far, and I say so far because it's still an ongoing lesson, is regarding paying taxes. This has been, I have a love-hate relationship with this because I love that I've learned so much about the system and learned so much about what is expected of me being a business in the system, but I hate the idea of the administrative workload and tasks associated with making sure that all my books are in order, all my paperwork is submitted, and everything is up to date. And so I encourage you guys on this note of financial planning and accounting, find an accountant as early as you can in your business endeavor to affiliate with or to associate with or to get business advice from, so that you save yourself the headache, the time, the energy, the effort associated with being reactive versus proactive. As best as you can do things the right way up front and be as proactive as you can, do that. I promise you it is going to save you the world of headache later down the line. So those are some of my lessons learned in business so far. There are many more that I would love to share with you guys. So feel free to share your experiences, your opinions, your thoughts, your feedback on some of the things that you have learned and experienced, some of the harsh realities, some of the rewards even that you have experienced over the years of having your business or getting your startup going. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to talking to you guys some more about entrepreneurship and business development. Again, I just want to learn from you. I want you guys to learn from me, and we all have that journey of growth and development together.